I probably am not supposed to say any of this stuff, but I think it's all kind of.
We won't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, well, without any further ado, we are welcoming back. We are so thrilled to have back our friend Jonah Ray.
Hello, Talkulture. Tall. This is. I'm going to start another show called Talkulture because as a person that's 6'4", I think I should have. I should speak for the people that have bruises on their heads. So I'm going to be doing Talkulture. It's going to be the after show for Talkulture.
Oh my God!
I'll get in touch with my brother. He's also 6'4", so you get your first guest.
Tell him sorry about his knees and ankles.
As a 5-footer, this is a whole new world for me. So
I'm sorry. Speak up. I can't hear you. The weather's too good. Sorry.
Oh wow! It's like that. Well, I love it. Well, welcome back, Jonah. We're so thrilled to have you back.
Thanks for having me. I was very excited, and I told you a bit before when we were talking. Like, I don't like doing a lot of these things, but this is one that whenever you guys ask, I am here for it for sure.
Oh, thank you for saying that. We figured we want to start with the really important stuff. So what we think is very important is you had recently mentioned that you are a Danny Elfman fan. This is very important. So have you
let's hold on real quick. Hold on. There was some confusion because I think you're basing this off of a post I had on Instagram where I am a Danny Elfman fan. I love Oingo Boingo and I love the score he's done in movies. And of course, like one of my favorite shows is Tales from the Crypt, which you did the intro to. The bit of that thing was a Danny Elfman fan, like a Danny Elfman super fan, who's like way into the music of Danny Elfman. Right. But he's watching Tales from the Crypt for the first time just because he loves Danny Elfman music. So he's into the music. He's into the bumpa bumpa of Danny Elfman. And then he's totally scared by the Crypt Keeper popping out. But all the comments I got on that were people going like, it's like, you've never seen Tales from the Crypt? I was like, hell yeah, I love another Danny Elfman super fan. And you know when you're at like a show or a concert and you like the artist and you're like, I really like this artist, they're good. And then you're surrounded by people that are like, this is my life, this is the greatest. And then you kind of feel bad, like you feel like you're invading in someone's space. Sorry, but with all that said, what's your question?
Okay. So basically, have you followed any of his more recent music?
So yeah, he's got he had like a 12-minute single that came out or something like that, right? It was like a super long song.
Can we cue it? Let's get it up here.
Let's cue it. It's gothy. I think I remember that.
This one? Have you seen this one?
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Can you imagine us in the club?
Yeah.
No.
I'm so happy.
All right. I mean, we can cut it.
It gets so much.
Cut. Oh God.
It gets so much more creepy.
You know what? How much more do you think that album would sell if he just said it's a Jack Skellington solo album? Do you think it would go
10 million%?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a misstep on his part just to use like Danny, because a lot of people know Danny Elfman, but but if you said like Jack Skellington album, everyone would be like getting it.
They would lose their minds.
And it can make the whole concert like it's the Gorillaz or something like that. You know?
Okay, so here's the problem that we fall into. There's this guy. I don't know if you've heard of him. Disney. I would be scared. Like what?
Richard Disney, right? Richard Disney. Yeah.
Disney.
Old Dick Disney.
Dick Disney.
So I wonder, like, instead of Jack Skellington, what could he call it that we could get away with it? Like what would be the swerve?
John Spookington.
John Spookington's good.
Yeah,
I would listen to John.
Yeah,
John fan.
Mick I don't know.
What was that? What was yours?
Mick Fleshless.
Oh yeah.
Fleshless. I love that.
Yuck, I'm not amused with myself.
Boner Man. Boner Man would be great.
Great.
Boner Man, oh no.
Yeah.
But yeah,
She's already starting the hashtags. Thanks, Jude.
Oh yeah, hashtag Dick Disney. Big fan.
Hashtag Dick Disney.
Love it. But like that video. I mean, listen, like you were saying, if it was a Jack Skellington thing, I think more people would be attracted to it. But I think when he put this out, which I think was last year, it was supposed to be played at Coachella, and then obviously everything happened. So I'm not sure. I feel like it needs more recognition. And maybe when we get closer to Halloween, I mean, like it should be in every haunted house.
Yeah. How long is the track? Can we get a confirmation on that?
Do we know, Jude?
Because it is. I remember it being like superfluously, exceedingly
a long track,
like a Tool song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
let's see.
That's right. And there was going to be that thing too, where it was going to be at Coachella, and he was just going to do the one song. He was going to like premiere a song, right? It wasn't going to be a whole set, right?
Right. I think just the song. So that song, it looks like it's only 4 minutes long. So maybe there's another song. Oh my God, is there another one that's 12 minutes long?
Maybe that's the radio edit, or maybe I'm just like, maybe I hate any song. Maybe I'm such a punk kid that any song over 3 minutes, I'm just like, it sucks. It's not good. Get to the point.
American
Jimi
Pie.
Hendrix.
Yeah. Okay, so he has a few more songs. But anyway, so we figured we'd start with a little Elfman.
Yes.
Now,
a little dash of Elfman.
A little touch, a little tinge.
Yeah.
So the next question's in reference to another one of your stories that you posted very recently. Wondered if we could get a little more information about the phenomenal job that was done by, I want to get the name right, at Shayna_MakeupFX.
Yes.
And we wondered if you could tell us like what project that was for, or if we can.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I just shot that yesterday. It was a old buddy of mine, Daniel Reeser, who. He made a couple great, really like low budget horror movies. Called one was called Stomping Grounds, which was like kind of it's like Bigfoot, but it's like before sunset or before sunrise, but like with Bigfoot. And then he made one called Night of the Punks a while back. But we met each other because we were both working at the Soup on E. So he would direct sketches, I would direct sketches, and we also even were in our friend does a tribute act night where it was called Bring Your Own Tribute Band, and we did his last name's Reeser, so we did a Screeching Weasel cover band called Screeching Reeser.
Oh.
We've known each other kind of casually for a long time, and then he saw me in a movie that's coming out next month called How to Deter a Robber. By Maria Bissell, who wrote and directed it. She's an incredibly talented director and writer. And so he saw me in it when it premiered at Fantastic Fest Online. And he's like, hey, I kind of wrote this thing. I want to try and shoot it. It's just in my house. It's like one scene. It's like a horror kind of argument. It's like a very intense scene. And like, he's like, I think you could do it. And so this was like 2 weeks ago. And I said, yeah. And then basically in the short, my wife comes home and there's a dead person on the ground, and she thinks I've murdered somebody, but I'm trying to convince her that no, I didn't murder anybody. I murdered a demon. And it's the kind of this thing about all the other stuff of the problems of the relationship come out. But like when she gets there, I'm all beat up because I just had a tussle with what may or may not be a demon. So that's and it was super fun, super intense, because it was like, it was argument and marriage story style acting, I should have like punched a wall, Adam Driver style. But like, it was like really super fun and super intense. And so I don't know when he's going to finish it or what he's going to do with it. Tussle with John Spookington, please. It'd be very funny to just like, it's me. And the only way John Spookington would like fight is like this way. And he would just be like the whole time going, I'm so happy. But yeah, so and Shayna did an amazing job on the makeup. So that's a long answer with all the context you didn't need.
Oh, we did. We needed it.
Of course. And random side question, since you did mention the soup, do you have a favorite type of soup?
I
do. Miso soup is my favorite type of soup. It's just, I could just take it down. I do have a top three soups. Miso soup is number one. Carrot ginger is number two. And tomato bisque is number three.
That's probably my number one. You can't go wrong with the tomato bisque.
Yes, but like tomato bisque is essentially just drinking sauce. It's just you're drinking sauce. You know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I love sauce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Well, okay. So another thing that we saw that you posted, and immediately I was like, oh, we have to know everything. Your time meeting the incredible Insane Clown Posse.
Oh.
Tell us everything. Whoop whoop. We need to know.
So this is actually goes back to when I was working at the Soup. Before I was working at the Soup at E, I was working at G4 Network. I was doing stuff on Web Soup and Attack of the Show and X-Play and stuff like that. I was directing sketches over there. And so I was at E, but my friend says, oh, today I'm shooting in the building. I'm shooting with Insane Clown Posse. I was like, oh man, you know, I don't like, I'm so fascinated by them. And like,
Us
it's like,
too.
yeah. And it's like, it's one of those things where I was like a lot of people where I was like, I kind of, you know, when I kind of heard about him, I made fun of him. And then there was this guy who ran the like some web content for one of the shows. And one day he was wearing a Juggalo shirt. And it's this guy that I talked to all the time. He was super nice, super funny, super sweet, just like this nerdy kid. And like, I was like, yeah, nice shirt, man. You know, like nice, ironic thing you're wearing. And he's like, and his response was just like, yeah, no, but I mean, I really like them. And I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Like I didn't, whoops. And I was like, do you mind if you, like, can you tell me about it? Can you tell me about your fandom? Because it's like, I want to know. Because it's like, I got along with this guy and I was like, I wanted to reach across the aisle, you know?
Yeah.
You know, from the Misfits fans over to the ICP fans. And so he said, like, he's like, I grew up outside of Detroit. I was like a nerdy black kid and I didn't fit in with any of the other, like, kind of like, you know, jockey black kids. And I didn't like, and the nerds, like the white nerd kids were kind of like, you know, didn't really like black kids. And he's and the only scene that I like was accepted into with open arms was the Juggalo scene. And he's like, and they didn't care what color it was. They didn't care like that I was super into comic books, but I didn't like that, or I did like that. He's like, they were just like, hey, you're another weirdo. Come on in. And then like, he's like, and I went to the first gathering of the Juggalos and then you start going every year. And then like, he's like, and you start to see people and you look, it's like summer camp. And then you see people have kids. And then he's like, and yeah, there's the kind of the crazy people that are just festival people. You know, those kind of people you see at festivals. And you're like, I've never seen them at any other rock concert.
Yeah. They live there.
Yeah, exactly. And then so like, it's like, he just kind of was like very open about his love of them and why he loves them. And I, you know, and that like hit home with me because that's how I felt when I found the punk scene in Hawaii, where I was like, you know, because I was a white kid growing up in Hawaii, I didn't feel like I belonged, even in my own family which was full of like, you know, kind of local Hawaiian, like, you know, brown people, and I was white because my mom, and didn't feel at home anywhere. And then the punk scene was just all the weirdos, and that was his weirdo scene. And I mean, I'd imagine anyone watching this like completely can relate to finding that pocket and just kind of going like, oh shit, I'm not like weird in the, you know, like a detriment to society kind of weird. Like, you know, there is a community there I can find, and it makes you feel, you know, good. And so he explained that to me. And so like when I heard they were in the building, I was like, I want to meet these guys. And I walked over, and they're just shooting in some cubicles in our building, in this office building that we all worked in these TV shows on. And like, I was just like, he's like, hey, I'll introduce you. He's like, hey, Violent J, the other one.
Shaggy Too Dope.
Shaggy Too Dope. He's like, Shaggy, Violent J. This is Jonah. And they're like, I was like, hey, what's up, man? Like, it's like, you work, and then just immediately just started asking, like, hey, you work here? You live in LA? Like, just super nice. You're like, oh yeah, these guys are just like Midwestern, you know, like Michiganders that are just like, oh, that's cool, man. Like, just like, and then like, I was like, do you mind if I get a picture? They're like, hell yeah. And then like, we did the picture. And like, it's one of those things where like, I can't honestly say that like, I love the music, but I totally love like pretty much everything about them. And that's another thing. It's like, when it comes to Slipknot, like I'm very picky about like the stuff I like, but I am obsessed with Corey Taylor as an entity, where I'm just completely, I was like, hey, if this guy is awesome, this guy's super smart, super talented, and if he's doing it, I'm in. And I still like, it's like, oh, like there's always a few songs I like, but it's like I'm not all in, but I'm like, I like it and I accept it and I love it.
That's exactly how we feel.
Yeah. So two things. Number one, so ICP, and it might be specifically Twisted, but they have a convention called Astronomicon, which takes place in Detroit. They have incredible guests. Corey Taylor is one of the guests at the upcoming convention, Mick Foley. So I went out to dinner with Corey Taylor a couple weeks ago at a convention in Orlando, Spooky Empire, and we couldn't get a reservation anywhere. It was just like a crazy night. Things are starting to open up. One of our friends calls and they're like, look, we got Slipknot coming in. Do you think we can get them a table? And so the place where we went, they're like, all right, they literally like rolled out the red carpet. We all are sitting down. And obviously not a lot of people know what Corey looks like without his mask on. They just know Slipknot. So the people working there went up to like every other person at the table besides Corey to say, I love your band so much, man. Like no one else was in the band. We're like sitting there like I guess I'm the drummer. I'm the DJ. I don't know. But yeah, he's one of our favorite people, absolutely. But yeah.
And he can talk. I like that. I love it when he shows up as a talking head on those horror things, like In Search of Darkness and stuff like that, because he knows his shit. And you
should read his books. He's got some really, really good books out.
Yeah. No, it's like another friend of mine. So it's like he's like, just read this great book by Corey Taylor. He's like, Slipknot guy. He's like, yeah, never heard the band, but I'm a fan of his writing. Like, it's like I love Renaissance people like that, or they just can kind of just like they just like being creative in different ways. It's fun.
For sure. Well,
I also wanted to speak a little bit to what you pointed out before of like, finding your crowd, finding your niche and your little groupie folks. I feel like Kit Cadet and I can very much relate to that. Finding our, I don't know, we definitely fit with the theater nerds because that's where we got most of our beginning.
Yeah.
And some of us may have continued that route. And then with, the music scenes that we got into too, like when we went and saw like the like Lithium, and we saw Paid in Singles all the time. Like we saw
our friends that were like in local like punk bands. Yeah. I thought you were gonna say the vampire clubs. I was like, where are you going with this? Danica and I used to think we were vampires. We've known each other since we were in second grade. I don't know whether we ever grew out of that.
A lot
phase,
of shit.
That's beautiful. I was just today with my friend that I've known since I was 5 years old. We got into punk together and played in hardcore bands and went on tour. And like I went to go see him, and we immediately just started like bickering and arguing like about the same stuff we've been talking about before, where he's kind of a grumpy Gus and I'm kind of a optimist Ollie. I don't know. There's no name.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, another person that is a surprising ICP fan is Chris Hansen from To Catch a Predator. Like they do collaborations together. They put out a shirt line. I got one of the shirts, but he said on our stream that he's going to go to the next gathering and clown up.
Chris Hansen doing the good work.
He is an angel among men.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
That's great.
Oh man. All
You're
right.
gonna make a lot of people uncomfortable too.
Who's he here for? Is he here for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my. Okay. So also wanted to ask about your Don't Hassle Me, I'm Vaccinated shirt, because first of all, it's rad. And wondered, because as far as I know, it's sort of based on the Don't Hassle Me, I'm a Local.
Don't Hassle Me, I'm Local from What About Bob? It's the blue shirt with the yellow. And so when Bob, Bill Murray's character Bob goes to Lake, I think Winnipesaukee is the town he goes to. And and like so he's like he gets one of those shirts that says Don't Hassle Me, I'm Local. And like Deanna, my wife, and I were trying to think. It's like our friends Emily Kumail were so excited because they were very, very locked down during like the lockdown, because our friend Emily is immunocompromised, and and Kumail's very like type A and rigid about like keeping her safe, and so they didn't go out at all. So when they got vaccinated, they were like counting down the days for that 2 weeks after, and he made reservations, and he was like, and like it's like he even told me he's like, I couldn't sleep the night before. It was like Christmas, like I was just waiting for it. And so like, and Dee had the idea. She's like, we should make them shirts that say like, "Don't hassle me, I'm vaccinated." And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. And then we didn't do it in time, and because we didn't think about it in time. But then I was just like, I had my friends over at Merch Table, in Kansas. We're just like very like, they're like, we'll just make those and we'll put them out. We'll give a couple, some money to some health organizations and stuff like that. So yeah, so I just, it's just fun to kind of make a shirt and just kind of, put it out, because it's, especially now with the flash printing, you don't have to have any overhead with making t-shirts as T Public and all these things have shown. You can just like, when you order it, then it's made and you get it.
And it's like so important too. I mean, like I don't want to get political, but I think it's important, and we need to get back to what our reality is going to be and how it was beforehand. And it's important that people do, get vaccinated. So if you don't do that,
yeah, exactly.
Let's do it.
If you're worried about being tracked, guess what? Look in your right or left hand. You're already being tracked. Exactly.
Remember
exactly.
those things you've got that are called driver's licenses?
Tracked.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that, but it's got your face on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know when you use your car to buy something anywhere, tracked.
Right. Well, I'm not gonna lie though. If I am being tracked, it makes me feel really important.
You feel seen. You feel seen, don't you?
I feel seen.
Someone cares.
Somebody's watching out for me.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm really boring, but like, it's all good.
Sometimes I feel lonely and I'm wandering around in my life, and then I realize I'm being watched by my big brother, which is also just Big Brother, but still, it's nice to be watched.
Aw. Love it.
Oh gosh. Oh well, our next question is another very, very important one. Can we join your electric motorbike gang? Because I mean, we don't have any yet, but
we will.
If you say yes.
Yes, please.
Great.
You'll have to drive them wherever we're going to meet up, because the range is about 35 miles, which if going around town, pretty good. That's like what I'm using mine for little errands around my neighborhood. It's great. I just got it 2 days ago. It's a Super 73, and it's like I'm so into it. At first I got on it, and then I was like, this feels dorky. Because I'm just like going around on this thing, and I have a helmet on, and I usually don't wear a helmet when I ride a bike because I'm totally cool and irresponsible. And then I got it. What are these for anyway? But yeah, no, it's I want to get like some some denim vest and get my friend Ben Getting, who does some chain stitching. He has a company called World Famous Original where he does chain stitching, and I want to get some vests together and stuff like that. That'd be really fun.
Do you have a name for your biker gang yet, or?
No, I haven't really thought about it yet, but do you have any pitches?
Oh God.
Dick Disney? That's a good
The Bones Brigade, and we'll just blare.
Yeah.
We'll blare.
We have
Danny
to wear a
Elfman.
giant phallus on as a helmet.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Everyone has to have a super. It will just look like cone heads, but they'll be helmets.
The Misfits. That's not
The
taken, is it?
That's not taken.
That's totally original idea. But yeah, I went on a Vespa once, and I was driving it myself, and it was a nightmare. I'm terrified. They're scary.
So yeah, Vespa. I crashed once. I crashed a Vespa once. My friend Chris let me borrow his, and I went like a block, and then just the helmet came off, and I was like, oh no, and I slammed in the back of a parked truck.
Oh no.
But this is different because it's like a bicycle, because it's got pedals, and you can kind of it's more intuitive to riding a bike than it is being on this you have to have that weird posture when you're on a scooter. This is just you can kind of.
I was dressed as the pink Power Ranger during a 4th of July parade, so it was not a good experience because there's a lot of eyes on me for it. I didn't know.
Kid, I didn't know the story got worse. You kind of buried the lead there with just one time I crashed on it. So you're dressed as a Powerpuff Girl or Power Ranger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm looking for it. I have somewhere a Polaroid of me and the Pink Power Ranger when she did a meet and greet in Hawaii at the 50th State Fair when I was growing up, and I must have been in sixth grade, I think. And it's like I do think, I can't remember. I do think I have a hover hand.
Hover hand? Oh,
Yeah.
I love a good hover hand.
Yeah, legit hover hand.
Oh, wait, did she hover handed you or vice versa?
She hover handed me.
She hover handed you.
Yeah. I would be too nervous to even move my arm towards her.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I do have a picture of. I do have a Polaroid like of me and my friends holding our pictures. You just can't see what's on our pictures. But it's like us in the van afterwards going like, yeah, it's like me, this guy, Andrew Nang, that I was really good friends with, and this other kid, Jonah Jenkins, who was considered. I'll tell you how in the culture of having someone with a very similar name or with the exact same name in a place where that's very rare that anyone has that name. We're the only 2 kids with that name. I was called Jonah R. He was called Jonah. I had to have the addendum of just like it's like well, everyone, when you think of Jonah, you think of Jonah Jenkins, right? Everyone's like, of course. And then of course there's Jonah R, the other one.
The other Jonah.
Yeah, the other Jonah. Yeah. And then I got into show business, and I was like, here I go. I'm gonna be the only Jonah. I'm sorry, what's that, Mr. Hill? Oh, okay, you're gonna become super famous. Right. Great.
Well, you're the number 1 Jonah to us, so that's
thank you. So, until Jonah Hill comes on.
Yeah, we don't have.
You know, I know what that reaction was. It's like you had like in your head going like, it's like, man, that'd be really good for the show. No, of course not.
That's totally what I was thinking.
Unfortunately, like never met the guy. Seen a couple interviews, didn't enjoy it. I don't think he looks very friendly. So you know. He's okay. Yeah. I met him here and there over the years, and he's an okay guy. Like here's the funniest Jonah Hill. So a real quick anecdote I have of Jonah Hill where I was Deanna and I were leaving New York, and we're in the at the airport, and we're in the the security line, and then all of a sudden I hear Jonah, and then I look, and it's Jonah Hill being escorted through security, and he's like I get in faster because I'm famous. And he knew, and I laughed super hard, and it was a very funny thing. I think it was a very knowing joke. Like, he wanted to acknowledge it, but he also wanted to make a bit. So I give him a pass on the. You were all in on it.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm still laughing about it.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
All right. So, of course, we wanted to say congratulations on the Kickstarter. I see you guys are at 103%, which I didn't realize anything went over 100%, but you guys proved it wrong. Yeah. That's incredible. That has to feel really good.
Because we made a lot that first Kickstarter to bring it back the first time. And this is why it feels really good, to be completely honest. And it's a little vain maybe, but so when we were doing the first Kickstarter, like no one knew what it would be like when it came back. No one knew what it would be like for me to be the host. No one, I was kind of like, there was some people that knew some of my other work, but for the most part, I was an unknown quantity. And some people who knew my work did not like me. And so there was like a lot of, speculation about how it would be. And then we made enough to make episodes that we got on Netflix and did all that stuff. But this one made even more money. And this one, people knew right off the bat that I'm going to be in it. And it made money, and it still got funded. And that made me feel, I'm not going to say for the first time, but it was one of those things where I'm like, oh, I'm a part of Mystery Science Theater for real. Like people knew, and they wanted to see more of what I did, and then more of what we can do after I transition out of the lead role, and we bring in Emily Marsh, which is another like amazing thing because she's a super funny performer, and like the new crew is great, and I'm super excited to get to like hand over the reins to I don't want to like point it out, but like it's like the first female host of Mystery Science Theater, 3 guys and now into Emily, and I think
it's a big fucking deal. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It is a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's super awesome. I'm super proud of like all of it and everyone involved. It's like and we start writing on Monday, yeah.
That soon?
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Because we got like 14 episodes we got to do, so it's like we got to start writing, and we, because we were going to start shooting later in the year. I mean, I probably am not supposed to say any of this stuff, but I think it's all kind of.
We won't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And I saw that you're also directing.
Yeah. So I'm like I'm going to be in I believe 6 episodes, and and then the episodes I'm not in, the episodes that Emily is going to be starring in, and the episodes that Joel Hodgson is going to be coming back and doing Joel Robinson. Yeah, he's going to be doing 2 episodes, and so I'm going to be directing those episodes, which is very exciting. And that's kind of like the fun part of the, the transition of it all, and just to kind of, because I like doing all the stuff, but like when I'm the host, it's like I have to worry about the performance, and like I have to worry about the writing we're all doing and the sketches and all that stuff. And like so it's gonna be kind of neat to be able to just kind of take myself out and still get my hands dirty on the show and whatnot, and not have to sit in the makeup chair or anything like that.
That's, oh my God, congratulations. Like this is like, especially for me and Danica, it feels really sentimental for us. Like there was a couple movies that we watched and shows that we watched growing up. Like we started with Mystery Science Theater and Monty Python. I mean, like these are things that like I feel are part of our DNA. Oh, yeah. And the fact that this gets to still continue is, it's just like we get to forever be kids and live in this mind space, and like it just it's so awesome.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. And it's like, and it's funny that you got into MST and Monty Python, because it's like Monty Python fed so much into Mystery Science Theater. There's so many references of Python stuff, and that's what's so great about like when we were doing ours, because it's like when we were writing our episodes, we still have some Python references, but now we also have some references to the state, and we have references to Kids in the Hall, and we have just like we have movies. Like, not to say that every joke is a reference, but it was fun to kind of like not just exchange the reference points, but like expand on the reference points and stuff like that. Like, it's like I got to, not that they never did, even though the movie was around before the show ever even started, but I got to do a Suspiria reference in Lords of the Deep, and I was like super stoked on that,
Well, this is, I literally have chills. I'm so excited. Okay.
I just very quickly wanted to say that one of the only things, there's one word that my husband and I can say to each other and know exactly what we're talking about, and it's just bang.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And no one's better at bang than Hampton Yount as Crow. Like, it's like one of those things where we were recording those riffs for that episode, and like me and Baron had some, but every time Hampton did it, we're just like, those are better. Hampton, you should just do them all. And we just kind of handed, like, every time there was a bang, it just became Hampton's thing, which so was good. Like, part of the fun of it. And yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited about the stuff we're going to do. It's like, excited to have, my wife, Deanna Rooney, back as, Dr. Donna St. Fives and her character. And we did it for the telethon. We did a great bit with her that we wrote with Elliot Kalin, who was the head writer, where it's like, she's, talking about all the, different movie monsters that like all rely on each other. It's like, but like, if you get rid of the rats from, Rats Apocalypse, who eats them? It's the boogans, and who eats the boogans? It's the ghoulies, and who eats the ghoulies? It's critters, and who eats critters? And like, she kind of just keeps on going like down this crazy rabbit hole. So I'm excited to do more stuff like that too.
And a telethon. Oh my God. Amazing.
Madness. I was like, I got so saturated and overwhelmed by like the money coming up and like getting this, realizing like, I was like, oh my God, I got work again. And then just like the amount of people, and then also the new crew is just like a lot, like they're really intense and like they're super funny, but like super like eager, and I just kind of got overwhelmed, and all of a sudden I was like, I am now the old man here. So like I am now forming into Joel, the old tired man. I was like, slow down with your jokes.
Yeah, blockheads. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you probably cannot reveal things like titles or things like that, but you made one reference to last time we had you on. One movie that you really wanted to have in there was Get-A-Vin. Yeah,
Get-A-Vin. They're not going to do it. It's
tragedy.
It is. I understand why. It's like it's a bit too dark for. Because it's like, it's not only like a poorly made movie, it's also like it feels sad, like it's like, and there's other movies we've done that feel sad, like the drunk guy in Atlantic Rim, where it's just like slurring through lines, and you're like, well, they thought that was a good take. And there's other, and I mean, Carnival Magic may be the saddest movie I think that MST has ever done, at least in my tenure. But Get-A-Vin is just, but I also like that it's like, I still have the opportunity to just like, if I want to, go and take that on the road and just go and like riff on it. And And because I did that out when I was in DC, I did it at the Draft House. I just like we put on Getavin and just with like my friend Kevin Titt, who's a great comic out of DC. But someone answered that phone. Someone answered that goddamn phone.
That was so weird. Okay, sorry.
Anyway, cinema to me. No.
Well,
but
okay.
yeah.
I was gonna say, I think you did mention one or two movies that were titles that were picked out. So without telling us anything, because obviously you can't, without saying the specific name, is there one that you're looking forward to the most without giving anything away?
I can't say. Also, like, we do have most of the movies locked, but there's still a bit of like there's still some shuffling around going on. So I don't want to throw any like speculation gas on the nerd fire. So I'm gonna
got it. I'm
gonna respectfully take the fifth.
You're allowed. That is your legal right.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be on Corwood down. It's like I play the fourth, and it's gonna turn out that it's like a certain crazy thing that you're not supposed to do. Plead the fourth? Are you sure? Yes, I plead the fourth. And they're like, all right, straight to prison. I don't know why you're a witness.
I love it. Oh man. Well, I guess before we get to the game, one of the other things we wanted to ask about, and I thought it was super cool, once again, looking at your Instagram, was the new Galaxy Brain podcast with the little animated brains. They're really fun. How did this all come to be?
So my friend Dave Schilling, who's an incredible writer and comic, a buddy of mine, he approached me earlier this year and said like, hey, I kind of been offered this podcast from Vox, and it's just we like just stupid dumb takes, like super like weird takes on movies. Like it's like not like serious discussion about film, but like the one that came out today, I believe, is it's about Fast 9. It's about the Fast 9, and like it's like, and Dave's take, his Galaxy Brain take on it is that like this is a spiritual movie series, and Dom Toretto, Vin Diesel's character, is actually an angel, and he died in part like 3, I think, and it's like, and then you kind of go, that's dumb. But you realize he's always wearing a perfectly white shirt. He has his cross, and he's always talking about family. And every movie ends with like a barbecue, a communal table of the blood and the body. And he has this whole, and he's like a guardian angel for all these people. And in this movie, the one that just came out, there's like a character that's going into these. He's like, this is crazy. How do we keep on surviving this stuff? Like, and so Dave's take is, another episode we did was my stance is that the Josie and the Pussycats movie is the most anti-capitalist, pro-socialist movie that's ever been made in the mainstream, and it's beautiful because of it, and is about a commune of 3 girls in a band where all of them are equal, and then when capitalism tries to put one ahead of the other, Josie in front of the other Pussycats, it nearly destroys them until they band together and realize that it should be equality for all.
Wow.
Yeah. So those are some of the takes that we do in it. Also, my take on Spiral from the Book of Saw is it is the best comedy special that Chris Rock has ever made.
All that aside, he was fantastic in that movie. I will say.
He was great. He was also like
so good.
He was so good. It's like the first part where it's like it's all the jokes, and you're like, these are good jokes. Like, it's like, like it's like they're all great, and him just like talking shit. And then like once the movie gets going, you're just like, he's just like acting circles around everybody. He's a super, like, what happened? All of a sudden, like, Chris Rock is just a really, really good actor.
But what if it was a comedy? Like, are we watching it wrong? Like, is it supposed to be a horror movie, or is it really a comedy?
I think it can have all of it. I think it is both. I think it is part comedy, and I think it is a horror movie. Saw movies are always super funny, like the contraptions. I gotta tell you,
the first one, the one with Carrie Ellis,
we saw that together.
Ass off.
You laughed. Yeah. I was crying. I was so terrified.
Yes, because I gotta say it. Carrie Ellis was so fucking melodramatic at the end. I was like, it's got to be on purpose to be funny, right? I thought it was hysterical.
Well, there's like, you know, it's like when you're like any kind of horror movie that's ridiculous, it's always a ridiculous premise. Yeah, it's like the actors have to take it seriously, or it's not gonna like, it's like, or it won't have any weight. It's like it won't be nearly as funny. If they were trying to be funny, then it would just, you'd be like, what is this? Get the fuck out of here. Like, but like, it's like, take the ridiculous premise funny. And it's funny because it's like, well, it's like we let sci-fi get away with that way more than we ever let horror get away with that.
Yeah.
When someone says like, oh yeah, everyone's acting like there's demons, and it's like, but like a sci-fi, it's like no one ever goes, yeah, we're acting like there's aliens, and it's because people are inherently super scared the fact that there might be ghosts and demons.
Yeah, look at like Farscape. That's one of the funniest shows out there.
Oh man, but aliens though.
Yes,
these aliens. I'm very scared about the aliens.
It'll be fine, and colonization always works out for the people with lesser technology, right? We'll be okay.
We're gonna
look at World's End, the
they'll just
Edgar
give
Wright
up.
movie.
Yeah,
they'll just give up. You'd be like, God, you guys are fucking awful. We know.
We're Earthlings, and we do what we want. But yeah, like the podcast has been super fun, and it came at a super great time. Where earlier this year, a buddy of mine suddenly passed away in January, and I did a podcast with him for 8-9 years, and been friends with him for about 20. And I kind of was just like, I don't know if I want to do that anymore. I really was just kind of out of sorts, and I am super lucky to have a friend like Dave who knew that, like, just kind of working on something fun and dumb with him that brought in a little bit of money and just kind of was something to do. Like he says, like, it's like he knew that would be a good thing for me. And it totally was. And I'm totally appreciative of the guy. It's like, he is a good friend of mine. He is super funny. And I'm, I really enjoyed the pod. And our producer, Kylie Holloway, is like super funny. She's a comic out in New York. And, she's, it's just like, it was like the perfect timing of a thing to happen in your life where it's like, you're like, something like this would be a nice distraction, from like, the heavier stuff. And it's been perfect for that. And I think that's what's good for the show too, to listen to it, is that, like, it's like, if you're tired of like terrible hot takes and serious takes on movies and, TV shows of where, like, it's like, this is what it's like, this movie is more about, like something heavy or something like that. What if it was everyone giving their dumbest take on a movie?
I'm still thinking about this Josie and the Pussycats thing. This is going to sit with me for a minute.
Yeah.
I am terrified. Well, on that note, we have a game of Would You Rather. So obviously you played this last time. There is no wrong answers. And Danica, you want to read the first one? Or?
Oh, sure. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
All right. Would you rather rock out with Danzig or rock out with the Aquabats?
Oh, that's totally easy. And I'll tell you why. One seems like fun, and the other one seems maddening. But at the same time, hold on. Okay, rock it out with Danzig. Wait, rock out. What are we talking about? Like hanging out, just like rocking out and partying? Or are we talking about like actually like
jamming,
performing? Yeah, like jamming. Yeah. Like you're rocking out.
Yeah. Okay. Music wise, I'd go with Danzig, but at the same time, Aquabats seem to have more fun than anybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is tough. This is tough because also Danzig, like, as a person, doesn't seem so rad. Like, doesn't seem like it'd be super fun to, like, have to play with them. And the Aquabats seem, yeah, I'm gonna go, as uncool as this answer is, I'm gonna have to go with Aquabats because I turned 40 cool. next year. I'm in. I'm down for, like, just like I was like, don't have to look cool, just want to have fun.
I think it's a cool answer. There's no wrong answers here. There's no wrong answers,
Well, I mean,
right.
what's your? I need to hear your answers.
I'm a misfits human, and if it's purely like going up on stage performing, I think we keep it very professional. I rock out with Danzig.
Yeah,
I rock out with Danzig.
I mean, it's for sure easier to play.
Yeah, I want to sing. If you want to scream with me. No, I can't remember the name of that song. Hybrid moments.
Oh, nice. When Deanna and I got married, one of her only music requests was like, she's like, when we're walking after we're married and we're walking back off the podium or whatever, like, it's like now to pronounce you man and wife, kiss a bride, blah blah blah, walking back through the crowd. She's like, it needs to be the Misfits, I Want Your Skull.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah.
Romantic.
Yeah.
I love it. Danica, what's yours?
You know what? I'd probably still go with Aquabats. I probably would.
Yeah.
Because
Also, if you mess
I
up, there's
think
more
it's
people on
fun.
stage to kind of like cover it up.
A little more bouncing around, not as much. I don't know, feeling like my eyes are going to come out of my head. Maybe.
Like Danny?
Yeah, like what if you're like jamming out with Danzig and you accidentally smile? Then what happens?
Oh,
Yeah, no, exactly. I'd get thrown out immediately.
Yeah, exactly. You just go.
I mean, what about that face doesn't say fun to you?
we're having a good time. Vincent wants to know if you like got to hear any of his Elvis covers and if you have thoughts.
I checked out a couple of the Elvis covers. You know, it's fine. It's
Say no more.
Yeah, it's fine. I also like. I'm not a huge Elvis fan in the first place. I'd rather hear Danzig do, Tom Petty covers than anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Here's the next one. Would you rather sing karaoke with Patton Oswalt or sing karaoke with Felicia Day?
Okay, so this is another tricky one because Felicia can fucking sing. She can sing.
Oh my God.
And even when she's just like joking, like if you're hanging out and she just goes like as a bit does it, not in an irritating way, but like if it's a part of a bit, she's like, you're like, yeah, you're hitting notes. And I think, and Patton, like if I did karaoke with Patton, like, he'd probably try to do like REM and he probably wouldn't be able to hit the notes. And so like I would come out and I would bust out, Laid by James or You Gotta Be by Desiree. And, I'd probably like look better. But at the same time, Felicia, I just get to have a great show because every time she would go up, she would kill it. And she'd probably do show tunes that I've never heard of. And so, yeah, I'm going to sing karaoke with Felicia Day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also no friend of mine more that I like talking shit. Like she is one of my, like when we get on the phone, we just like, we're like, it's like a safe space and we just get to be like petty and mean. And then like, know that we're like, we wouldn't tell anyone else of what we're saying. And we can kind of just have fun and be like, just like, mean, like and petty, just so you can get out your system.
Friends.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But she's definitely that friend for me.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, next one. All right. Would you rather circle the globe in a dog bone shaped spaceship or sit sidecar with Camille driving?
Oh boy. Okay. Circle the what's a globe, by the way?
You'll have to ask Jude.
It's this new thing.
Yeah. I'm worried about global warming. So circle the globe in a dog shape. Okay, so a dog bone shaped spaceship. The spaceship has everything. That's just like you're on the satellite of love. You're on the satellite of love. You got a movie theater. You got all kinds of rooms. You got stuff. It's like you're on a big RV essentially, just kind of floating around. You're being tortured, and you're at the whim of a crazy person if you're on that satellite. So you got to be careful about that. Your oxygen can get turned off at any moment. Kumail is a terrible driver. And also doesn't like to drive, and is super anxious whenever he's in a car. And so I would never want him. I texted him about I was like, you should get one of these bikes. He's like, I can't. Like he immediately got stressed with the idea of it.
Oh no.
And so, as much as I would like to just kind of be person in a sidecar, I think I'd rather have Felicia driving the bike. So I'm gonna circle the globe in a cog gate bone shaped spaceship.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the next one.
Global warming.
Global warming.
Hashtag global warming. Sorry, Jude. All right, next one. Would you rather dress like Steve-O from SLC Punk or dress like Screamin' Steve Stevens from Rock and Roll High School?
Oh wow, it's this one's easy. It's Screamin' Steve Stevens for sure because that's something that you can age well, and it's also you can kind of like it dresses down and up pretty easy. It's it's casual. You could be at a bar here and be like, "Who's that weirdo?" You could be at like a fancy thing. You're like, well, you got a jacket on, so you're fine. And Steve-O from SLC Punk, it's funny because like when that movie came out, what was Jason Segel's character name in it?
Michael, no.
It was Mike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like everyone was always like, because he wore glasses and collared shirts and like kind of was a preppy guy.
He's going off to save the rainforest.
yeah, exactly. But he would get in the pit and he was part of the punk scene. And I was a super tall, dorky dude with glasses, collared shirts, like in the pit, like in part of the punk scene in Hawaii. So everyone's like, "You're like Mike from SLC Punk," and so I immediately hated the movie. Because it's like, when someone like where you're like, I'm an individual, I am very specific, and then like you show up in a movie and you're like, yo, no, I'm so much a trope that it's in a movie.
I would have loved to have somebody tell me that I was like anyone from SLC Punk.
Yeah, I know. But it was like, it was one of those things like where I was very hyper, like, like, what is it? Why does it say punk in the title? It's not Repo Man or Suburbia. I'll tell you that much,
Get him.
But you know what? What were you going to say?
But then they made a second one, which I did not see.
I have not seen it yet.
I didn't see it. It is, and SLC Punk is a good movie. Like even like down to like when the acid, the shot of the acid going into the leg, and like that's like an incredibly crazy camera trick and cool shot. And Matthew Lillard, I think, is like an incredible actor. Just like from all the stuff he did like during his heyday in the '90s. But then like when he came back in Descendants and had that super intense scene. Where he was like super scared of getting found out, and like he's super good. And also his movie, which is also I think a better punk rock movie than SLC Punk, is his movie Fat Kid Rules the World, which is an incredibly heartfelt movie that really more gets into the soul. I think that a lot of me and my friends grew up with punk, which is just more so than SLC Punk, because SLC Punk was very much of that era of punk, which is like a lot of like nihilistic anarcho kids. Fat Kid Rules the World kind of has a bit more of that, like we're doing this as an artistic outlet, as a way to have something to do. A lot like kind of like doing that short yesterday with my friends and doing the podcast with Dave. It's like exactly what you two are doing. It's fun to have creative endeavors with your friends. It like to have a little bit of a project. It really is like it. I think it enriches friendships and gives you something that you could, but like, it's like all of a sudden there's this thing now that's like, it's like this is ours. This is ours. This wouldn't have happened if it wasn't us doing this thing. And so that's why I think Fat Kid Rules the World. And that's why I really connected that kind of stuff. So anyway, yes, Screaming Steve Stevens.
Correct.
See that movie. Yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
It's great. And it was directed by Matthew Lillard.
Oh, awesome. Next one. Danica?
Next, yes. Would you rather see a new MST3K robot or build your own versions of Crow and Servo?
You know what? I want to see as many new MST3K robots as possible, which is a thing that fans don't like to hear. In my seasons, we brought, we created, M. Waverly and Growler and these kind of new bots, and Servo and Crow don't like them, but they're nice, and I always like to expand the world of it, make it kind of the Muppet Show in a way, but with building, I had a friend that built his own Crow and Servo, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's like these crazy blueprints and all these pieces. And I was never very good at models. I think like, my ADHD would just get overwhelmed, and I'd be like, I'll figure it out on my own. And then it would just kind of be half finished, and then my mom would throw it away. So I'm going to see it. And I wouldn't mind it if it's this weird marionette, rusted out metal bot here that is in this picture.
He looks fun.
He looks fun. And also Gallo does look like he's going, please kill me. Why do I think?
I love him. All right. Here's the next one. Would you rather only drink Faygo or only drink Fanta? So many colors.
Boy. Yeah.
Look at those colors.
Man, look at this diabetes. Look at this. I'm gonna go Fanta just because I'm more familiar with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, and it also looks like it's like you can get away with having less of it than Faygo. I don't think Faygo comes in anything less than 24 ounces. And how does candy apple soda sound refreshing?
It's not meant to be refreshing.
No.
Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be an assault on your
Yes, on
mouth.
your pancreas. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. They're pretty delicious. So.
I'm sure they are because they're genetically engineered. They're chemically like in a lab. Someone's like, here's the equation to make someone go. We're gonna make that. Will it be good for their body? In no way is this good for anybody.
Well, maybe one a year.
Yes. Oh no, as a treat.
That's fun.
Yeah. That's how I do soda now. It's like I go, well, I'm gonna have a soda. And I go to the store and I get the coldest one I can find, and I enjoy that soda as if it was like a donut or something like that. I kind of treat it as a treat.
Speaking of donuts, did you get your free Krispy Kreme after you got vaccinated?
You better believe I fucking did. I just got my card and went over there. It was like I felt the effects coming on from the second Pfizer. I was like, hurry up.
So worth it. Do it for the donuts. Do it for the donuts.
Yeah, do it for the donut. If anything, do it for the donut. If you don't care about your elderly loved ones dying, do it for the donut.
All right. I think we have one or two more.
All right. Would you rather write a musical based on your life or write a musical based on Gary Busey's life? Now, the part 2 of this question would be write a musical based on your life with Gary Busey playing you, or write a musical based on Gary Busey's life where you play Gary Busey.
Oh, this is the hardest one.
It's tough. It's a tough one.
Oh, man. Well, I don't. Wow. I would never really trust anybody to write their own story of their life. I think it's too skewed. I always have this saying, never trust a bio, like a documentary on someone where they're the executive producer. Case in point, the Jerry Lewis documentary, Method to the Madness, where you kind of go like, it seems kind of favorable for a guy that was famously problematic.
Why is that?
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden, like the first card you see, executive producer Jerry Lewis, and you're like, oh, that's it. So I would never do that. But a long time ago, my friend Neil and our friend Jake, we had the idea of we all wrote a one-man show for me, it was all about me trying to put on a one-man show. But then the director replaces me with another guy that's like a handsome version of me. And it just kind of spirals from there. It was called Ray of Light. So I'm going to have to go with, I'm going to write a musical based off of Gary Busey's life, and I would play Gary Busey. And
I would watch the shit out of that.
Yeah, I would do that for sure. Just because my wife actually acted with Gary Busey.
No.
Yes, there was a show on Amazon that Deanna shows up in, and she's so funny in it. It's called Gary Busey Pet Judge.
It's so funny. Oh, she was on that?
Yeah, she was a lady that was upset that a dog kept on defecating in her yard.
That was episode 1.
I think it was episode 1. Yeah. Yeah, and he's like, she's like, he's like, defecate. He's like, def what? Defecated. Yeah. And
oh my God, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool.
So I have an in, was what I'm saying.
You have an in.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm obsessed with everything he does on Cameo. He is a brilliant man. He is a brilliant man.
He really is. He really is. I think there's a lot of it is, I know he had a bad accident, so that's why he has some issues, but I do think there is a lot of him leaning into it because it seems to make people happy.
He makes me happy. That's what's important. All right, two more. Here we go. Would you rather do an improv set with Kim K or an improv set with Lil Wayne?
I'm going to have to go with Lil Wayne on that one. That was kind of easy for me. Kim K, I have nothing but accolades to her for, creating an entire industry off of, being a rich kid. But maybe it's the classist. Maybe it's the classist in me that was like, fuck her. But I'll go with I'm going to do a little improv set with Lil Wayne just because if it's not going well, he seems like the guy that would just bail. So it would be a painful.
I bet it would be fun as hell.
I think it would be. I think it would be. I think Lil Wayne would be a blast to do improv with.
And
I've done improv with Robin Williams.
My comment no longer stands. All right.
Yep.
You want to read?
Let's move on.
The very
All right.
last one.
Last one. Would you rather rewrite Battlefield Earth or rewrite Face Off? I can't even read it without laughing.
What are the stipulations for having to do Battlefield Earth? Do I have to join Scientology?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's
You got to
probably
meet
part of it,
Xenu.
Well, I
Gotta
mean,
meet-
in either case,
Yeah.
you have to join Scientology. In either
That's
case.
true.
That's
true.
I mean,
Well, Battlefield Earth's about.
because
yeah.
Battlefield Earth is a Hubbard story. Face Off is, I think, original IP. I think, aren't they remaking Face Off? Aren't they already remaking that
Oh
movie?
no! Are they
Don't say
really?
Yeah. I
Oh.
don't know.
I want to see the Face Off now with two Jonahs. You and
Jonah
Jonah Hill.
That'd be, yeah, me and Jonah. That would be great. That would be like, and it's just like, and it's like the stakes are as big as just like getting into restaurants quicker. That's like, here's my
Getting
face.
in line at the airport.
Yeah. Dope. Yeah. No, I got in. Dope. It's so tight. It's so tight.
Nailed it.
But you know, I would go with I'm gonna go with Battlefield Earth because it does seem like a good career move.
Well, Battlefield Earth currently sitting at a really hot 0% of Rotten Tomatoes. So your goal only has to be 1% better.
That's
you know what I
true.
mean?
Yeah.
1%.
How much do I got to do for 1%? Just
One.
1%.
Just those contacts. What a choice. It's a choice.
that
Well, on that note,
Oh my.
we have reached the conclusion of another live show.
Oh,
You, my
What
friend.
a ride. What a ride it's been.
It's been a ride. Before we do wrap this up, do you have any final thoughts?
Be kind to each other. Life is hard. That's
a
all I
good one.
got. Yeah. Not funny, but you know, it's like you never know what someone's going through. So if I can take it easy on everyone. Unless they're a racist piece of shit.
yeah, in that case, fuck them.
Yeah, in that case, fuck it. Yeah.
Well, we're going to go over our upcoming guests real quick because we got some shows and here we goes. And
Which one do I got?
There we go.
Whoa!
circle the globe. All right. So next Tuesday, we have PD from Spooky Empire. The following Thursday, we have Lucas Rossi, singer extraordinaire. We have a special bonus show on Saturday with Ryan Roxy, who is from the Alice Cooper Band. And then we're welcoming David Cook from American Idol. That will be fun. And then we have former wrestler. We have Matt, Drama King Matt, he goes by. And then I'm very excited for an X-Files guest. We have Karen Carnivals, which would be a lot of fun. We love the X-Files. It's going to be a good time. And then I think we're welcoming back Casey Jost in July. And we're going to keep going till the wheels fall off. So
it's great. It's really an awesome show. You two should be
Thank
super
you, thank
proud,
you.
and it's awesome. I'm really stoked to be a part of the rotating cast.
We're so very honored that you feel that way.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yay. Well, until our what is it, biker gang, whatever. We didn't come up with the name, but just let us know where to meet you. And then you know we'll meet up and do the whatever biker games.
We'll putt our way there.
Yes, there's no putt, they're electric. But we'll meet on the corner of Rad and Badass.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys there, and have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Au revoir. Aloha.